and fever. You can be part of the fun. Don't over at every game. That's where the excitement begins. So catch Indian fever. Be a believer with the Cleveland Indians.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the September 4th, 2019 Lake County Sentinel podcast. I'm your host, Tim Shirer. We'll be with you for a half hour. Normally on Wednesdays would be our political podcast, but today, because of two events that are happening, first, the NFL season begins tomorrow, so I'm going to give my predictions on the NFL season, and then next, at 3:15, we will preview the Lake County Captains Series with the Great Lake Loons playoff series, Midwest League playoffs, first round. The Captains have not been in the playoffs since 2014 and have not won the championship since 2010, their first year in the league, when Ted Kubiak was the manager of the team. Ted will join us at 3:15, and we will talk about that 2010 team and what it's like to win a minor league championship and what goes into it and how hard it is to get to that point. So that'll be exciting at 3:15. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the NFL. Excuse me. We're going to talk about the NFL, Cleveland Browns. People are very much anticipating this season of Browns football. They feel like the Browns really have a chance to go far this year. As we know, the team, since it came back in '99, has, with the exception of 2 years, over 500, a 10-6 and a 9-7 season, and one playoff appearance in 2002. The team has pretty much been a disaster, a complete joke, pretty much the joke of the NFL for the last 20 years. They went 0-16, they went 1-31, the worst 32-game stretch in NFL history. But there's new hope. John Dorsey took over the team in late 2017, and he has done wonders, bringing in talent that was not there, replacing the talentless roster with a pretty good roster. And there are high hopes for this 2019 version of the Cleveland Browns. And we're going to get right to the picks. I will save the NFC North the AFC North, the AFC North for last. We'll start with the NFC, and then we'll go to the AFC. I will save the AFC North as the last division I'll talk about, and then we will give our Super Bowl pick. So we're going to start with the NFC East, which I'm sure my pick here is going to be a huge surprise. People are going to be like, you're crazy. Well, I don't think I am. I think I'm pretty good. I think I have the AFC or NFC East going like this: Giants, Cowboys, Eagles, Redskins. I have the Giants winning the division at 10-6. The Cowboys finishing in second at 9-7, and the Eagles finishing in third place at 7-9. So I don't feel like the Eagles will be that good this year. I'm not sold on Carson Wentz, and now they have no backup with Josh McCown. I love Josh McCown, but he's not going to win a lot of games. So, and then fourth place, the Washington Redskins. I have them at 6-10. I don't think Jay Gruden will last the year. I think his honeymoon is over in Washington. So then I believe then we're going to go to the NFC North, and I have the Vikings winning the NFC North, the Bears finishing second, the Lions finishing third, and the Packers finishing fourth in last place. Simply because I think the first year of a head coach, they struggled last year a lot, the Packers. I don't see this turning around. They still have Aaron Rodgers, but they don't have a lot else, I don't think. So, but I think the Vikings will go 12-4. The Bears will go 11-5. The Lions will go 8-8, and the Packers will finish 6-10. So I think, the Vikings and Bears will both make the playoffs. So, but the Lions, they won't. They'll be 500. The Lions are kind of like the Washington Wizards of the NFL. They kind of get good, but they're never good enough to win multiple playoff games, and then they're never really bad enough now to get a really high draft pick. So that's kind of where the Lions are. And I think Mitch Trubisky is going to have a great year for the Bears. I think he's a really good quarterback. So, and I think that Dirk Cousins rebounds this year and leads the Vikings to the division title. I think he's a good quarterback. He had a rough year last year, and which is understandable. Got paid a lot of money. He says that didn't affect him, but he can say that all he wants. I'm not sure I believe it. So then we're going to move to the NFC South, where I believe it is still the best division in football. Because any year you could have 3 teams in that division make the playoffs. And I think that what we have here is we have the Saints will win the division. Falcons will come in second. The Buccaneers will come in third. And the Panthers will end up in last place. So I feel like the Saints will win the division at 11-5. Falcons will come in second at 10-6. Buccaneers will finish over 500 at 9-7, but not make the playoffs in Bruce Arians' first year. Bruce Arians usually has a good year his first year. So I'm thinking that that's probably going to happen this year in Tampa. We'll see. And then the Panthers will finish in last at 7-9. Most divisions, you finish 7-9, you're pretty good. You're not going to finish in last, but the NFC South, you'll finish in last. I have them tied for wins division-wise with the NFC North. So then we'll go to the NFC West, where we have the Rams. I have the Rams winning the division, followed by the Seahawks, followed by the 49ers, and then the Arizona Cardinals, who I believe will be terrible and finish 2-14. So what we have is the Rams, I said 13-3, Seahawks finishing second at 10-6, 49ers finishing 7-9 and third, and the Cardinals 2-14. So what it is here is in the NFC playoff teams I have will be the Giants win the division, Vikings win the division, Saints win the division, Rams win the division. The 2 wild card teams I feel like are going to be the Seahawks and the Bears. The Falcons will lose the tiebreaker to the Seahawks. It'll be the Falcons and Bears will be the wild card, and I feel like that's how I feel like it's going to go. So then we'll go to the AFC, since we talked about the NFC. We're going to go with AFC East. We got worst division in football. You got the Packers, Patriots, and then you have 3 bad teams every year. So no wonder the Patriots win it. They'll win it. Jets will be second. Bills will be third. Dolphins will be fourth. Patriots 11-5. Jets will be 8-8. Bills will be 7-9, and the Dolphins 4-12. That might be generous. Then we go to the AFC South, where we have it's the 500 division. You could win at 9-7. You could finish in last place at 7-9. That's what I have this year. I have the Jaguars winning the division, Texans coming in second, Titans third, and Colts fourth. Jaguars 9-7, Texans 9-7, Titans 8-8, Colts 7-9. That's how that division goes every year. So then we have the AFC West, which I predict the Chiefs will win, Chargers second, Broncos third, and the hapless Raiders fourth. And Antonio Brown will be asking for a trade by the end of the year if him and John Gruden don't get in a fist fight on the sidelines. So the Kansas City Chiefs, I have going 14-2, Chargers 11-5, Broncos 7-9, Raiders 1-15. Now to the AFC North, that's everyone's been waiting for. My prediction is the Steelers will win the division at 10-6. Ravens second place 9-7, Browns third place 9-7, Bengals fourth place 6-10. So record-wise, how I have it, division winners Patriots, Steelers, Jaguars, Chiefs. Wild card teams Chargers, Ravens. Browns do not make the playoffs. They come close, but they don't make it. 9-7 is a good record. It's a good second year with these players. First year head coach, 9-7. Just missed the playoffs. Tiebreakers get them. And then for the Super Bowl, I have the Chiefs and the Bears. And the Bears defeat the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. That's my predictions. I'm going to stick with those. We'll see what happens. I hope I'm wrong about the Browns. I hope they make the playoffs. I hope I'm wrong about the Buccaneers. I hope they make the playoffs. But I don't know. That's just what I feel like with those two teams, the teams I root for every Sunday. And we'll see how that goes. I just think the Bears, Mitch Trubisky's a really good quarterback. They've got a lot on that team. Their defense is really, really good. They remind me a lot of the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their offense might not be as good as that offense was, but their defense might be as good as that defense was. So that's what I think there. I think the Bears will win the Super Bowl over the Chiefs. I know I'm probably one of the only people to pick the Bears, but I'm going to do it. So that is the end of our NFL prediction show. We are going to preview the Lake County Captains first round playoff matchup with the Great Lakes Loons. It starts tonight at 7 o'clock at Classic Park. The Loons will send right-hander Ryan Pepois to the mound. He has no record with a 2.45 ERA. The Captains will send Sean McCarthy to the mound. He is 4-3 with a 4.14 ERA, but McCarthy's numbers are deceptive. He just came back from injury, and he's pitched very well since he came back. If the Captains can hit, if the Captains can score 3 to 4 runs a game in this series, they'll win the series. So, but now what we're going to do is we're going to talk to former Lake County Captains manager Ted Kubiak. I'm going to give Ted a call here now.
Hey, Tim.
Hi, Ted. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
It's good. It's good to talk to you, Ted. We're previewing. We're previewing the Lake County Captains playoffs tonight. They start the playoffs against the Great Lakes Loons.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh
the Loons. Yes, isn't that something? The Loons were the team in 2010 that everyone thought was unbeatable, and you guys beat them.
I'll tell you what, Tim, that was such a great 2 weeks. There's so many things that I remember about it. One being beating them. We struggled against them all year, as you know. And our team hadn't played well, right? We won the first half. If I remember right, Frawley hit a home run. Do you remember?
To walk it off on the last day of the first half, yes.
Okay. So we didn't play well the second half, and you probably remember about 2 weeks before the playoffs were to begin, I had a rather serious post-game meeting with our team because I did not like the way they were playing. So anyway, I sat down with Mickey and Phil, Phil Clark at the time, and Mickey Callaway, of course, was with the Mets now. And I told them, look, we're going to do this against the Loons. I said, we're going to pitch them backwards. I said, and I talked to the pitchers. I told them all, I said, I don't care how hard you throw the ball. I want a first pitch breaking ball, and I want it to be a strike. So anyway, we pitched them backwards the whole series and, of course, wound up winning. And I remember the final game, coach at third base looking at the expression on the third baseman, who I don't remember now offhand. And it was like he was saying, what the hell is going on here?
They were stunned.
Anyway, we beat them, went on to Western Michigan. And then Clinton, of course, the big game there was that 18-inning game that our guys they played so hard. We threw a runner out, I think, at home plate in, I don't know, maybe the 11th, 12th inning. I don't remember. And wound up losing the game when the ball just kind of trickled through the third baseman's legs. But, we came home last night after that long bus ride. And when Gilmet struck out the last hitter on a high fastball, I remember just saying to myself in the dugout, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
We had won. It was a great 2 weeks.
I remember going on the field after the game. And, people don't know that you and I and Dave Glazer had been friends, prior to you being the manager.
Right.
And I just remember coming on the field and giving you a big hug and being so happy that this team, that the players played so hard for you. They played so hard for you, and they played so hard for Mickey and Phil because they respected you guys so much. And I don't think I've had a happier moment covering sports than I was that night.
Really?
And,
well, I'm glad you experienced it because that doesn't happen very often, as you know.
Yeah. And I know you had told me that it made you very happy because the talent level on the team was not the greatest, and that a lot of guys may not make it to the big leagues. So this might be their moment.
Right, exactly. You know what's funny about that? Of all the clubs, I had a number of clubs that would get in the playoffs over my minor league career. I only had one club that I actually thought was the best in the league, and that was one of the teams I had in Modesto. The playoff series and the final playoff series went 5 games. We lost the 5th game, but we were playing I think it was the Marlins. That was the first time they had a minor league team. I think they just started.
Okay.
So the team that they had in the California League, which was an A league, was their Double-A club.
Oh, okay.
And so we lost 5-3, I think, in that last game. And it took me 20 minutes before I could even walk in the clubhouse after losing that game. But, the series in those 2 weeks, and the thing that stands out for me, despite, the good fortune I had in the big leagues, I felt responsible for what was going on there. But, maybe we didn't have the most talent, but I never looked at a club that way. I just wanted to get the most out of what I could from everybody, and it was up to me to kind of do what I could to piece things together. Now, you don't have that opportunity in the minor leagues that often, and I was chastised for the meeting that I had before that previous or that playoff actually started, but it worked. I mean, we won, and I was just so proud of them, and what had taken place.
And don't you agree? I mean, it was hard to sometimes talk about then, but you always hear, it's about development. But I always thought, isn't winning part of development also?
I actually thought it was the main ingredient of development. I don't know why that was ever looked at. Now there have been staff members in the past and field coordinators who believe that. I'm not sure that the new minds do. They're so concerned about, this and that these guys aren't going to get hurt. They're going to get tired. They don't look at the little things, but they never really understood how important winning is, not only for guys developing, because it helps your development. You don't even have to say anything to a player. Their confidence soars when something like that is occurring. Mm-hmm. But learning how to win, learning how to play, learning to deal with the players on your club, and there's just so much that you gain from being a winner. It's amazing.
A question that that people ask me a lot when I bring your name up in a conversation is, did Ted ever have aspirations of managing in the big leagues or coaching in the big leagues, or did you just like developing players?
Well, I'll tell you what happened, Tim. When I got back in baseball, I thought I knew everything. I didn't know a darn thing, to be honest with you, about managing. I knew nothing. It took me many years before I kind of settled in and felt that I was on the right path. I always thought that would happen. I grew up in an area, Tim, where you didn't ask for stuff. You just did. Mm-hmm. I expected that my talents, if they were good enough, would be recognized. I was happy wherever I was. I loved being on the field. It didn't matter. I loved working with the young guys. But I just never really thought about, well, do I need to go in and say anything about it? That never really crossed my mind. Mm-hmm. Now, the night I was let go,
yes,
and I mentioned to Ross Atkins, I think he asked me something, or what would you really have liked to done in the game? And I mentioned him. I said I would have liked to manage in the big league. He was shocked.
Yeah.
Now, if you're looking at me and you can't tell that I have big league ability, then that's my mistake.
Well, I think a lot of people that were around you a lot thought you had big league ability. I think, and I don't want to bash people that aren't in Cleveland anymore, but I don't think that staff always saw what was right in front of them. So
it's difficult for them, Tim. The guys running the game now, they don't have any history in baseball. They've got a history maybe in pro ball after a number of years, but the foundation that you need to really understand the game of baseball takes decades. Mm-hmm. The decades that I used to play, maybe you used to play. Even maybe what Tommy's experiencing now. But it just takes that in order to really understand guy. And of course, then it depends on who your bosses are, who's looking at you. There's a lot of factors involved in that. But
I have to tell you, the guy in charge of the farm system now, James Harris, he is a football guy. That was his experience, was football. But what I've noticed,
that was Mark Shapiro.
Well, what I've noticed though about him though, Ted, is that he really lets his guys under him make decisions and do things. Like, he really leans on them. He doesn't act like he knows everything.
That's what a leader does. That's what a leader does, Tim.
And I'm telling you, the farm system is very good right now.
Yeah, all you have to do is set the tone. Let them know what you want to happen, and then you sit back and you just watch. And you follow. That was my whole philosophy. I just followed what players did, okay? I then redirected them, or I redirected my staff, but I didn't want to take over and dictate, because you can't dictate in the game of baseball. There's too much pressure involved. Yeah. And you can't put extra pressure on anybody, including your staff members.
Mm-hmm. So how do you feel? I'm going to ask you a couple last questions here. How does it make you feel? You were the first manager, his first year of coaching. in pro baseball. How does it make you feel now that Mickey Callaway has, made it to the big leagues? He is a manager, and the Mets now have righted the ship this season and are in contention for a playoff spot.
They've had a great season, and I couldn't be happier than Mickey. I listen to a lot of the New York shows, and last year they were just bashing him. I mean, they wanted him out of there so bad, and I was hoping he was going to be able to survive. I hope that their new GM was going to just, pull the plug on him right away. But, Mickey's personality is such that I'm sure those guys like playing for him, as is attested to by what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to his comments every once in a while. Of course, he gets interviewed by Mike Francesa back there all the time in New York.
Yeah.
So I hear that. But I'm so glad for him and his family, It had to be one hell of a thing, and I was surprised. I guess Francona recommended him to go there, but for Mickey to jump into New York on the first season, oh my God, that was incredible.
Well,
so hopefully he's got himself right in, and he's going to be good for a while.
I hope so. I think it's kind of amazing too that he has Phil Regan now as his pitching coach.
Yeah, how about that? And Charlie Manuel's back in the game.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
Maybe we're going back to the old days.
Yeah, maybe we are. The one person I have to ask you about too is, I don't know if you've been watching from afar and seeing the season that he's had, but Roberto Perez.
That is unbelievable to me. I'm so happy for him. I still remember the number of times that I brought him in my office there and told him he was going to be in the big leagues. And at the time, he was so concerned about his mom, I guess. I don't know if it was her health or because they were apart or whatever. But I had to convince him that he was going to play in the big leagues. He was always a tremendous catcher.
Yes.
But the way he's hitting surprises even me. But I'm so glad for him, Lee. And he signed a contract. He's getting more money than he probably ever thought he would come close to getting.
Yeah. He's just such a good guy. And I try to explain that to people, what a good guy he is, besides being a really good defensive catcher and now a good offensive player.
Yes, that's amazing to me. I don't know what happened to his hitting. He looks like he's still hitting the same way, but that's what happens. Some guys who you don't really understand are growing just need the time. And that might have been what happened to him.
And I'll leave you with one last one is Phil Clark being the assistant hitting coach for the Tigers.
I loved it. Last time I saw Phil, we were in Taiwan together, and he actually was told he got the job when we were over there.
Yes. He
got a call one day, and so that's good. Phil was tremendous. I mean, him and Judy were good friends, as him and Mickey and his wife. But Phil is a great guy. I hope someday that he gets that job. I mean, you saw him do the clinic when we came there to Cleveland. I mean, he's a good instructor.
He really is.
The thing was, Mickey, Phil, and I were all in the same. We were all on the same page, as that proverbial saying goes.
Okay.
We all thought the same way, and maybe you don't know this. I didn't tell you. We were all born in the month of May.
Oh wow! I never realized that.
Yeah. So under the astrology and the signs, which I absolutely believe in, there was no doubt that we were going to work well together.
And you guys work great together.
Yep.
I still refer to that as the super staff.
Well, it was sure a fun year, and it was very easy for me. I didn't have to do much. Those guys took care of everything. I just set the schedule and paid attention to what was going on, I think,
That's great. Well, thanks a lot for joining me today, Ted. Hopefully I'll talk to you again soon. And you take care.
Yeah, say hi to Tommy for me.
I will. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
That was former Lake County Captains manager Ted Kubiak, a 3-time world champion with the Oakland A's. And he joined us today to talk about when the Captains won the Midwest League Championship in 2010, beating the Clinton Lumber Kings and knocking the Great Lake Loons out in the first round. So I'm going to make my prediction here. My prediction is that the Captains win the series 2-1 and advance to the second round to play either Bowling Green or South Bend. I'll talk to you again on Friday. I hope everybody has a great day.